Within about 30 seconds, you're going to say, boy, am I glad I tuned in today. We love this guy, Keith Eliou. He is the go-to guy when it comes to the world of real estate. We talk elder law with him as well. But he has got an opportunity that is on the table for you right now that are in need of a will. We talk about it all the time. Hey, how many people just put it off, procrastinate? One of the things that you shouldn't. So if you're out in the South Hills, this is something you're going to want to hear about. So let's say good morning to Keith, and let's start off with this incredible news. What an opportunity. Keith, good morning.
Good morning, Rob. What we're going to do for anybody that calls my office by Monday, if you live in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, anywhere from Mount Washington all the way through down to Washington County, and you're 64 or older and you don't have a will, you should have a will, and I'll do one for you for free. So I don't know what else I can do. I believe everybody should have a will. It takes care of orphaned assets. I mean, it doesn't take care of everything, and we'll have a conversation about other things that you should be concerned about. You know, your beneficiary designations on your accounts, but you should have a will, and so we believe in it so much we're going to give it away.
Listen, how many times you've been listening to me on a weekend, because that's the 2-cup of coffee rule, right? Saturday morning, you're at home, and you go, I'm going to get to that. And then the next week rolls around, and you go, I need to get to that. Well, now this is the reason to get that will. So again, 64 or older in the South Hills of Pittsburgh from Mount Washington on, that phone number is 412-921-1300, 412-921-1300. What else this does for people, Keith, it opens up the door, great conversation, elder law, real estate, about other things that are going on in their life that they may be totally unaware of. So it gets the juices flowing, it gets the information going, and it gets them a free will.
Yeah, and well, real estate, and you and I have talked about this before, real estate and estate elder law go together hand in hand, because usually you've got a house, and there's a house in the mix that's one of the assets, and what are you going to do with the house? In fact, we had a lady that came in this week, we talked about it, because she's very concerned that she wants her son to have her house, and we're going through her assets and making sure that it makes sense to do, because there are certain classic cases where an irrevocable grantor trust to protect your house from long-term care costs makes sense, but you gotta understand what the risks are. If you're in good health, saying you're in your 60s or 70s, and again, good health, and you've got a house, but you've got other savings that are worth, say, twice as much as your house. That's a classic case of put your house in the trust if you're concerned about it. If you're concerned about long-term care costs, because if you think you're going to make it through 5 years, then the house will be protected. And then if you need other planning, if you go into a nursing home, then we can still protect other assets. But I always, my rule of thumb is twice the amount of savings as the value of the house, because if you don't make it to 5 years, you got a penalty situation if you need nursing home care, or we can put escape hatches in the trust so that we can unwind it. Again, irrevocable scares people. When you tell people, you got to put it into this box, what's a trust? It's a box. It's a closet. But you can design the rules. You can decide, okay, who's going to be in charge of the trust? Who's going to be the trustee? And when are they going to have access to what's in the trust? And why are they going to have access to it? Who gets the stuff in the trust when you pass away, the stuff in the box? And you can make all those rules. And if you have somebody that you trust, and you're going to make them the boss of the trust, the trustee, but you're still a little concerned, we can have a person, we can have a provision where you can have another person whose only job or responsibility is to fire the trustee. So if you have a trustee and they don't do what
you're fired.
Yeah, what you tell them to do, you fire them. So you shouldn't be afraid of it being irrevocable. In fact, you put your house in trust, you're still living there. You're not going to be able to tell the difference. If you pass away, when you pass away, I guess not if, we all do. You get to step up in basis in the house. If you draft the house correctly, as opposed to, I want to protect the house, I'm going to give it to one of my children. Well, that's problematic. You give it to one of your children, and they have money troubles, they could lose your house, and then you don't have a place to live. Also, they get your basis unless they live in the house. They get your basis. So if they aren't going to live in the house, or they move out, and they don't stay there the required amount of time, they're going to have a capital gains tax instead of an inheritance tax. So
All I know is this free will thing has got me just thinking. I want to remind as many people as I can about this opportunity because I've never experienced anything like this, and this is just so wonderful and gracious of you. Yeah, I mean, you got to make money. You have to have a business, but what it does, it gives people the opportunity to get the biggest thing in their life handled to protect, including that biggest investment of their life, their home. So tell them about what you're doing, South Hills from Pittsburgh to Mount Washington, and it's new clients, mortgage, elder law, real estate, but this free will thing that's happening today. Again, 65 or older in South Hills of Pittsburgh from Mount Washington on. I'm going to give you the phone number in a moment, but if you call today, tell them what happens.
yeah, we'll do a free will for you if you're 64. We don't have to wait to 65. 64 or older in the South Hills, and we may open this up to other places in Pittsburgh in the future. We just don't want to.
You want to make sure that you can handle the
Right,
traffic. I
right,
get that.
So
South Hills, right?
921 7100. My extension's 13. 412-921-7100. If you want to get me directly, it's extension 13. But people, even if you have a will, if it's an old will and you want to update it, some people have wills that are not. That's called self-proving, where you don't have witnesses that have their signatures notarized, and you got to haul people down to the register of wills, to probate the will. So you want to make sure you have the right provisions. A will's not, just they're not all, not every will is the same. You want to make sure that you've got provisions in there to waive bonds and provisions with powers for the executor. You want to make sure that you've got a backup executor if you can. It's hard sometimes for people to find. We always suggest at least one backup, one successor. But if you don't have a will, for example, and you're married and you have a child, everybody thinks, well, I'm married, everything just goes to my spouse. Not so. If you've got a child, the first $30,000 and half of which you have goes to your spouse, the other half goes to your child.
Also, don't forget Advocate Mortgage. We're going to be talking about them throughout the day because mortgage, the Fed got involved again. And there's some things happening and the rate coming down. We're going to talk about that. That number is 412-921-1300. But to get in on these free wills, 64 or older, South Hills of Pittsburgh from Mount Washington on. But you got to call today to get these free wills. It's 412-921-7100, 421-921-7100. More on trust. We're going to be talking about the market, some of the latest numbers. Plus, he's got some seminars and webinars coming up. But for everything that you need to know, go to KeithEliou.com. That's KeithEliou.com. KeithEliou.com. Keith Eliou, Rob Pratt, back with more on KDKA in just a moment. All right, listen, I love to open the phones up. If you have any real estate questions, elder law questions, we're talking trust, we're talking wills, you need some information. Call us right now, 866-391-1020. We've got 4 lines available. We'll take 4 callers right now, 866-391-1020. And being that we've got this free will promotion going on, if you have a will question, now would be a good time to call. And remember, 64 or older in the South Hills of Pittsburgh from Mount Washington on, if you call Keith's office today, he will do a free will for you. 412-921-7100. 412-921-7100. Talk about these seminars that you have coming up. You're doing all sorts of things, so go right ahead.
Right. Saturday, September 21st at the Mount Lebanon Recreation Center on Cedar Boulevard, we've got 4 in-person seminars. Seating's kind of limited because it's in the rec center. I think there's room for 25 to 30 people in each one, but we're doing a one at 9 o'clock Saturday, September 21st, how to protect your assets from the cost of long-term care. So if you got somebody that may need to go into long-term care, you're thinking about what happens. We're going to talk about the steps you should take to protect your assets. At 10:30, we're going to talk about Medicare. Annual enrollment's coming up. The new programs are coming out right now, but we're going to do an hour on Medicare and what you should know, Parts A and B, the original Medicare, Part C, Part D, Advantage plans, supplement plans. We're going to talk about that. And then at noon, we're going to talk to who are we going to talk to? Sellers or buyers? Sellers. If you're thinking about selling your house, it's going to be a complete guide to how to sell your house, and you don't have to list your house. If you want to know what do I need to do, what are the important things, we're going to talk about the contracts, the process, closings, costs. If you're thinking about selling it, but you think I want to do it on my own, that's fine. You're welcome to come. And then at 1:30, we're going to talk to buyers, a complete guide to buying a house, the steps you have to take, the process, how we're going to save you thousands of dollars. It's going to be everything you need to know to have a plan to buy a house. We're going to talk about mortgages. We're going to give free wills away at all these seminars also, except for Medicare.
Yeah, the only one, Medicare, they cannot do that, but the other ones, they are going to be giving away free wills. 9 a.m., how to protect your assets from nursing home costs. Then at 10:30, Medicare 101, noon, complete guide for selling your home and saving money, and 1:30, complete guide for buying your home and saving money. And these are free, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, this is the way you can find out more about what he does. And I highly urge you, during the show, I mean, if you're nearby that computer, check it out right now. It's KeithEliou.com, KeithEliou.com, KeithEliou.com. And I'm going to remind you as much as I can about this because, hey, I wish I'd have run into somebody before I got this will done, so you can do it. All right, 64 older, South Hills of Pittsburgh from Mount Washington on. He's giving away free wills to those of you in that part of this great city of ours. You got to call his office, though, and this only today. So it's 412-921-7100, 412-921-7100. One of the things that people need to understand, once you have a will, you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, it's one of the basic essential estate planning documents. You know, you need a will. You probably need a living will, a healthcare power of attorney, and a financial power of attorney, but a will's the cornerstone.
All right, let's talk about the market. What's happening? Did the feds do us any good?
Actually, all the news that you hear is about inflation and how the Fed's raising the Fed funds rate, the short-term rate. But what that's actually done is it hasn't actually done it directly, but long-term rates, mortgage rates have come down about 0.5%. Now 30-year fixed rates are in the upper 4s. So if you're out there looking, that's a big dip in about 2 weeks, 0.5%. So the mortgage market is heating up again, and that can save you a ton of money if you're buying a house and you're borrowing $200,000 or $300,000. So I urge you to. If you're interested, we have very sharp pricing. We think we're the market leader, Advocate Mortgage. So give me a call because we can help you with that. And beyond being sharp in pricing, which you got to be if you're in the mortgage business, you got to know what you're doing. I had a fellow stop at my office earlier this week, and he was looking for a different company, the company that used to be in the same space that I'm in that did the same thing. It was strange, but he wanted to buy a house, and he said, "Oh, yeah, I just need help with the contract. I need help with the title work, closing. We do that. That's fine." I offered our services for mortgages. No, I got it covered, right? And what he was going to do is buy an investment property, and somebody, he said, told him he could do with 5% down. That's not.
Here's the real facts.
Yeah, I mean, Fannie and Freddie. I mean, single-family home. If it's a Fannie and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they're the market because they have the best pricing. If you follow their rules, got the toughest rules, but they've got the best pricing. So on a single-family investment property, it's 15% down. That's the minimum down. So I'm wondering where he's getting this information, and I questioned him, and he said, "Well, don't worry because I've got a backup. Somebody else told me that a retail bank, I can do 10% down." Well, okay, fine. So we start down the path, and don't you know, the next day he calls me. And
you were right.
I was right. I mean, you have to. Now, you can structure transactions, and you need to know the rules. Especially, for example, if you're in the middle of a divorce and you're working on your marital separation agreement, you need to know what provisions to put in there if you're concerned about being able to get a mortgage to buy a house or to refinance the house that you're in. You've got to know that typically, if you're getting alimony or child support, you have to have received it for 6 months, and it's got to continue for at least 3 years in order to use it for income. You got to put that in the agreement. And if you're on the other end of it and you're paying it, you have to know sometimes you don't have to count alimony as a debt. Sometimes you can just reduce income, which can make a difference in qualifying. So there are ways to structure transactions. There are ways to, if you've got a certain pot of money to buy a house and somebody's telling you don't qualify, well, sometimes you don't have to use the whole pot of money as a down payment or for closing costs. Sometimes you can use some of the money to pay off one of the debts, put a little less money down, raise the offer that you're making on the house, ask the seller to pay back a little bit toward your closing costs, and you can tweak things. So you got to know the guidelines besides being really sharp in pricing, and we're fast. We're the fastest game in town for mortgages. We can close a loan in 3 weeks.
Listen, and we're also going to tell you about no closing cost options in just a moment, but The thing I love about Keith, and I had to catch up with him earlier this week, he picks up the phone or not, he gets right back to you. You shoot him a text, an email, he gets back to you. You need to see a property, he'll get you what you need to see. And more importantly, instead of you running around town, you tell him what you need. He'll work with that great thing that is the multi-list, and he'll get you what you need. Let's talk about no closing cost options before we move on. Why? This is another signature item that you do at Advocate Mortgage.
Right. Well, people have gotten concerned. I don't really want to get a mortgage right now because what happens if rates come down? And the market's really believing that next year, by the middle of the year, the Fed's going to reverse themselves and they're going to start unwinding this and the rates are going to come back down. So we have options where we pay your closing costs, okay? Just like we've got options for sellers where we pick up closing costs, for buyers who pick up closing costs. We've got options where we can structure a transaction where you don't have any closing costs. So that means if you're refinancing because you want to consolidate debt or you're getting divorced and you don't want to make a mistake in timing, do an option without closing costs. You pay a little higher rate, a tad higher, but then you don't have any closing costs, and then you can redo it again. Next month, six months from now, it works really great in a falling market because you don't want to time the market. You want to say, okay, I'm gonna, and I've had people do this. I can only give them the advice, but I've had people spend $20,000 over a period of 2 years in closing costs because the market was going down, and they jumped in, they refinanced. Market went down again and wanted to refinance again, and they picked the closing costs up. You can do that. It just takes a long time to recoup.
Listen, so I was recording some commercials for you the other day at a production house. I got the message from our sales rep here. Marty went right to this production house because I wanted to get your spots back to you. And the young man was asking me, he's lived in his house a couple of years, young guy, new baby, him and his wife. Should he refinance? And I said, let me talk to Keith about that. Is it a good time to refinance or not?
Well, it's always a good time to refinance if you can lower your rate by at least 0.5% without any closing costs. I'm not talking about rolling closing costs in. People get confused. They say, well, yeah, my bank told me we can do that. They just added to what I borrow. It's like, no. No closing costs means you get a credit for it all. That's a good time.
All right, we're going to come back. We got much more to pick up on. Don't forget about those free wills, 64 or older, South Hills of Pittsburgh, from Mount Washington on. Call him today. Get a free will, 412-921-7100, 412-921-7100. Keith Eliou, Rob Pratt, KDKA. All right, we're back with Keith Eliou. We have a lot to get to, but before we go any further, I'm going to let him go over the seminar, which is coming up on September the 17th, what they're going to be doing for you that day, and also from South Hills of Pittsburgh to Mount Washington, 64 or older, you can get a free will today. And I'm going to give you that number one more time, and then I'm going to let him go over the seminar one more time. That's coming up on September 17th. And then we'll get into some other things that I think you need to know about. But to get in on those free wills, 412-921-7100, 412-921-7100. That only lasts today, so I wouldn't put it off. Now, this seminar, September 17th, you're going to be doing a lot of things. 9 a.m., how to protect your assets from nursing home cost. 10:30, Medicare 101. Noon, complete guide for selling your home and saving money. And then at 1:30, complete guide for buying your home and saving money. And again, this is free. All of that stuff is free, so go over the seminar, please.
Right, and I said earlier the 21st, but there's not a 21st on a Saturday in September. So it's the 17th, Mount Lebanon Recreation Center. Morning we're devoting to Medicaid and Medicare. In the afternoon we're devoting it to real estate, selling and buying. You get free wills with if you attend any of the seminars except Medicare. We're not allowed to, under the Medicare guidelines, give anything away that's worth more than $15. But if you're interested in any of those topics, call my office and register, 412-921-7100. You can email me, Keith at keitheliou.com.
And by the way, that's KEITHELIOU.com. KEITHEELIOU.com.
Right, and the week after that's when I'm back here, the
24th.
So, but the 17th at Mount Lebanon Recreation Center, 24th I'm here. Next Saturday we're going to have a 9 a.m. Medicare webinar. So if you're interested and you can't get out or that's not a convenient spot to come to, we do have webinars every Saturday, different topics. Since the annual enrollment period's coming up here shortly in a couple of months, we're starting more Medicare webinars. So if you're interested, if that's a topic that's of interest to you, then we can have hundreds of people on those webinars.
Well, let me tell you why this. If you can get in on the free will opportunity that you're going to get today, you get in there, you get talking to Keith. He'll just start asking you things. You'll start talking to him, and then you're going to realize, hey, if I'm 64, soon to be 65, that means Medicare. He's all under roof. He can handle all of that. And if by chance you're thinking about downgrading or, getting a different home or a ranch home or something at that stage in your life, he can help you with Advocate Mortgage. Again, you really love your mortgage company. We were talking during the break. That industry of finance is changing. It's big business, corporate America, hard to get to certain people at times. You're very easy to get to.
Yeah, it's hard to get access to people that have sharp pricing. We have very sharp pricing and accurate information. I've been doing mortgages for over 30 years. I got into the business, started in the title business, doing closings, moved in the mortgage business, and then moved into the real estate business. So I really know all ends, and I think I can anticipate problems pretty well and avoid them. You really need to know what the guidelines, and the guidelines change. You have to keep checking. If I'm not 100% certain, I'm at Fannie Mae's site looking up what the rule is. If I'm concerned that there may be an underwriter that has a rule in addition to Fannie Mae, I'm calling the underwriters, asking them to make sure, to make certain so we don't have a problem. Because you don't want to get 2 or 3 weeks into, and this happens with banks all the time, because the people that are loan officers at banks don't have to have the same licensing, the same education. They can be in customer service one day and then your expert loan officer the next day. And they make mistakes. And, what do they say? Oh, I'm sorry. 3 weeks down the road, now you're getting a different rate, different price, different down payment. Now there's conditions that you didn't know about. We're going to tell you up front what you're going to need. And you may not like it, but it's better to deal with it up front. You have more time. You're not getting more time as your transaction goes on. If you've got to close in 45 days, you don't want to find out on day 30 that there's something that you need that nobody told you about. So, really, you need expert advice when it comes to mortgages, and we can give you that. We can also tell you about other things that you should make sure that you plan for in advance, so that you don't run into problems. And for real estate, we love buyers. If you're a buyer, we have programs. Not only don't you really have to pay, right, because the commission's already built into the transaction, we're paying your closing costs. Okay, depending on the size of your purchase. We're paying thousands of dollars of your closing costs. So it's less than free. I don't know what else we can do.
Can't do anything else.
And we've got a process, and I'm spending a lot of time putting this September 17th seminar for buyers together, because we want to give them the complete guide. We want to tell you, okay, you got to make a plan. What is it that you want to buy? Give me a list of the characteristics in the house, not just bedrooms and baths, but you want a level entryway. You want a garage that's integral. Do you want a detached garage? I mean, do you want a pool? You want to have all of the criteria so that we can put you on an automatic email regimen that is going to shoot you that house as soon as it comes up. And if you're not doing that, if you don't have somebody that's doing that for you, you're behind in the game. You're not going to get the house. Again, the market last month in July, 1,300 in Allegheny County, 1,329 houses were sold. I looked last year, the same time in July, 1,673 were sold. So it's not that far off the hottest pace, of the market from last year. And on the market, as of a couple of days ago in Allegheny, this is just Allegheny County, 2,283 houses on the market. The time days on market's gone up a few days.
Not much, though.
Yeah, not much. It's still running about a month on the market from beginning to close. So you got to be prepared. If you want to buy a house and you're on a mission to buy a house, you want to know when the house that you like comes on the market. And you want to be prepared with the documentation. So a boatload of documentation, not as bad as preparing to get Medicaid. That's 5 years of documentation. But you need 2 years of documentation typically for a mortgage, 2 years tax returns, most recent 30 days of pay stubs. And you got to, can you put your hands on it in a heartbeat? I mean, you may have to call your accountant. But you want to get that stuff together and know what you qualify for, and make sure that when somebody tells you you're qualified, you really are qualified. So that's services we can offer.
What do you think about adjustable rate mortgages?
I'm not a fan. I think rates, especially in a rising market, you're going to probably find that you're going to get an adjustment upward if you're going to be there for a very short period of time, or if you have the ability to pay cash if the rates go up, maybe. But if you're only going to be in a house for a very short period of time, why are you getting an ARM? I mean, why are you buying a house? I think that you're better off with a fixed rate. ARMs you're going to wind up refinancing, and then you're going through closing costs. So then, what have you really saved? That being said, I've got a 6-month adjustable that's at 2.75%. So you start off at 2.75%. It's related to the SOFR rate, secured offering rate, and the true rate. They always give you the teaser rate. The true rate today would probably be about 4.5. So in the first adjustment, caps are 1% every 6 months, 5% over the life with a 5% initial cap. So if you start at 2.75, the worst you can ever go is 7.75. But what's the true rate? It's the index plus the margin to figure out what your rate is. They have a number that's called the index, which is, it used to be LIBOR, remember LIBOR, or the T-bill, and this is called SOFR. And then they add a number to it called the margin to come up with the rate.
All right, listen, KeithEliou.com. Go to the website. We got one more segment. We'll be back in a moment. KeithEliou.com. KeithEliou.com. All right, we're down to the final segment, so we're going to begin with the big story, what we're talking about today when it comes to free wills. I'm going to let him explain it all to you so you can frame it up and then just make the call. And I'm going to give you the number at the start of this, and the last thing he says, I'm going to jump in with the number again because I want you to take an opportunity that doesn't come around. 412-921-7100, 412-921-7100. And again, 64 or older in South Hills of Pittsburgh from Mount Washington on. This is the opportunity that awaits you right now, today only, just a phone call away. Keith.
Right. It's the cornerstone of your estate planning documents. A will, everybody should have one. You need to make it easy on yourself, make it easy on your heirs to, if you need to open an estate, and you don't always have to open an estate, but if you need to open it, you want to make it easy on whoever you're picking to be the executor, because that's not a great job to have. It's a lot of responsibility. If you're in charge of administering an estate, you're the executor, you're not doing that person a favor. You're giving them a job. And you want to make it as easy as possible on them. And having a will, you don't really have to come into my office. But if you come into my office, I can have witnesses for you, and I can notarize your deeds, so you don't have to run all over the place and finding witnesses and finding the notary. I'll do the whole thing for you.
Yeah, but this is my biased opinion. You need to meet Keith. You need to see him face to face, sit down with him, because I learn each and every time he drops by, and it all kind of goes back to your home, your future, and especially if you're making those decisions at that stage in your life. And if you just have questions, maybe make a few notes when you go in. You can work it into the conversation when he's preparing this will for you. And again, this is a free opportunity, 64 or older in South Hills of Pittsburgh from Mount Washington on. Free wills await you. He'll do it, but you've got to call the number. Call today, 412-921-7100, 412-921-7100. A couple of minutes left. What else is on your mind?
Well, I was thinking, you're right. If they come in, they can get a free consultation.
Yeah,
come in and ask me questions. If you
don't believe me, I don't know any attorney that says just come in and ask me some questions. Usually you're on the clock. This way you're getting a free will, and you're also getting a chance to ask him some questions. And he loves to talk. This is his life's passion. I see it every time he comes here, and I know he has great intentions for you, and he wants to make it work. Because anybody and we're at that stage in our life now, even I look back at my parents, once they they're worried about the kids. Right. They're worried about that house where all the memories were. Right. So this is when you got to make it work right.
Yeah, no, you're right. The people that come in and want wills, they're concerned about taking care of their kids.
Yeah,
yeah, and inevitably there's can I ask you this question or that question? And we get a lot of questions about trust. Should I do a trust? And it's there are lots of different kinds of trusts. There's a revocable trust, okay, a living trust. Well, when do you need that? Well, you need in certain classic cases, like if you're older, maybe you're 55 or 60, and you don't have anybody that you would want to give the power to be your agent under a power of attorney. A revocable trust could make sense. If you've got real estate in another state and you don't want to have, it's called an ancillary estate when you pass away, Yeah, that's a good reason to have a revocable trust. If you're in the second marriage and you want to make sure that your kids from your first marriage get an inheritance, yeah, that's a good reason. But then, you don't just do a trust to do a trust. I mean, there are places that have been called trust mills in the past, and that's what they did. You need a trust. Well, sometimes you do, sometimes
Have you ever
don't.
told somebody you really don't need a trust?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, now that's the difference right there.
Yeah, I mean, and then there are special needs trusts. There's first-party supplemental special needs trust and third-party special needs trust. If you've got a child that's on benefits, you're collecting benefits, yeah, you need that kind of a trust.
See, this is so important, and I'm so glad you brought that up. People who are dealing with that and they're aging as that child is aging and now an aging adult, and you're curious, hey, look, I'm the only sibling left, the only parent left, the only grandparent, the only guardian. He can handle all of this. And if you choose to use the services for these other services, they can make that happen. But today, from, as we mentioned, 64 or older, South Hills of Pittsburgh, from Mount Washington on, you're going to get a free will. I would call this number right away. I wouldn't put it off. 412-921-7100. 412-921-7100. The last thing, tell them about September 17th, all the different things you're doing with this seminar and how there's another opportunity for them too.
Right, we'll go backwards. In the afternoon, we've got real estate seminars at Mount Lebanon Recreation Center on Cedar Boulevard, one for sellers at noon, one for buyers at 1:30. If you're looking to buy, you really got to come to the seminar. We're going to give you credits for your closing costs. So it's not just no cost, it's you're going to make money if you're a buyer. Sellers, if you're thinking about selling their house and you've got lots of questions, do I need to have a real estate agent? What's the process if I don't? We'll answer those questions for you. In the morning, we're going to do Medicare and Medicaid, how to protect your assets from the cost of long-term care at 9. 10:30, we're going to talk about Medicare 101, original Medicare. We're going to talk about Part D, the prescription drug plan. We're going to talk about the Advantage programs and supplements. So, we hope that we can help a lot of people in one day.
And tell them where it's going to be at.
Mount Lebanon Recreation Center on Cedar Boulevard, Saturday, September 17th. Call or email me to make a reservation. Seating's kind of limited. I think we have room for 25 to 30 at each seminar.
It'll go quick. So 412-921-7100 and Keith Eliou, KeithEliou.com. Finish up on Advocate Mortgage and why you really can get it done and save people thousands of dollars.
We've got sharp prices, and we know how to get the job done. If you're interested in buying, or if you want to look at refinancing for all kinds of reasons, again, you want to consolidate debts. There's the data indicates there's a lot of people who have been using a lot of credit cards since the pandemic. It's not a bad idea to take a look at consolidating that, because credit cards, you're paying 18%. So, or if you're in the middle of getting a divorce and you're at the early stages even, you want to make sure you've got the right provisions in your separation agreements so that you can qualify. We can help you work with your attorney on that.
Last thing, I want your honest opinion. You always give it to me. They say we're in a recession. How these houses are selling pretty quick. Where's the money coming from? People want to buy, right?
Yeah, I mean the data that they have shows that the market has had 2 quarters of negative growth, which is classic recession. But we'll see. We'll see in the next quarter. We think the Fed's going to raise, because of this jobs report, by 0.5%, but then we think, it's our opinion they're going to pause.
Listen, this guy, you don't have to break the conversation by saying, how about the Pirates, or what about that weather outside? He's ready to go from the jump. Love what he does. Please give him a call. And 64 and older, South Hills of Pittsburgh, from Mount Washington on, call today. Get that free will, a free will, 412-921-7100, 412-921-7100. Always interesting, always fun. Keith, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Rob.
Do you need help navigating the turbulent and stormy sea of auto and home insurance decisions? Why not let one of Assurance's independent agents guide you through your options so you can choose the right policy and coverages for you? Assurance has already helped 80 million Americans compare insurance and financial products. Visit assurance.com/auto or call 877-382-1971 to find auto and home insurance solutions tailored to your needs. That's assurance.com/auto or call 877-382-1971. Ever wonder what it's like to play in an MLB game? Play Loud is your exclusive look into the fun of the game as we mic up the league's biggest stars and follow them with dedicated cameras both on and off the field. Watch game time reactions to some of the biggest plays and follow your favorite players as they chat in the dugout with their teammates between innings. You never know what you're going to see or hear. It's baseball like you've never watched before. Tune in for new episodes of Play Loud, only on the MLB YouTube channel.
My name is Taylor, and this is my second year at Insight PA Cyber Charter School. Insight PA is more than just high school. Insight also specializes in career readiness to help me choose a pathway for the future. Whether it's business, nursing, technology, or even esports, Insight PA has the hands-on training and internship opportunities to help me choose the right career. The students and staff are amazing, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this community.
To learn how Insight PA Cyber Charter School can set up your child for the future, visit insightpa.k12.com.
The last thing you want to hear while listening to your favorite podcast is another gimmicky ad. NJM feels the same way. It's why they provide award-winning service without the use of mascots or repetitive jingles. Instead, they focus on you and how you could save up to 25% on your auto insurance by switching to NJM. That's a whole lot of gas money. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM. Visit njm.com/podcast for a quote to see how much you could save on your auto insurance. That's njm.com/podcast.
Osena spiked coconut water. Let me say that again. Osena spiked coconut water. Osena is a tropical cocktail made with real coconut water. It's gluten-free and contains naturally occurring electrolytes, 100 calories, and 0 sugar. Osena's new Islands Collection variety pack with pineapple, mango, guava, and dragon fruit flavors is available all throughout the Jersey Shore. Check out drinkosena.com to find a store near you. That's drinkosena.com. A.com. 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 A.com.